Hello, friends, and welcome to the Optimized Advisor Podcast, where we focus on optimizing the well-being and best practices of insurance and financial professionals today. On this show, our objective is to help you optimize your life, optimize your profession, and learn from other optimized advisors. I'm your host, Scott Heinila. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to the show. Excited to be back in studio, and joining me today is my fellow advisor and also owner of Optimized Insurance Planning, Scott Heinila. Scott, thanks for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here once again, good sir.
Once again.
That's right.
I am very excited to talk about a concept that I think both you and I hold dear to ourselves, the concept of discipline. And the reason I asked you to be part of the show is because I thought you and I could have a great conversation about what that means to us, how we implement that in our personal lives, our fitness lives, our business lives. So that's what we're going to do today.
Well, I appreciate that, but more than anything, I do commend you for scoring an A+ in this category. With all joking aside, I do admire your commitment to discipline and staying in that routine and it being consistent and persistent as well.
All of which we'll talk about, but I do appreciate you saying that. Thank you very much. Okay. I think I'm just laughing now. We were at a conference recently, and I think you might have joked about me a little bit with my, speaking of discipline, on my regiment of supplements.
Well, of course, but that's all how, those are terms of endearment for those that I truly love and appreciate.
Yeah, I took it as such as well.
So one of the statements recently in one of my fitness programs, one of the coaches, she says, never take yourself seriously, but take the work seriously. And so part of that is me just having a good poke and fun and having good fun with it is what is a very serious matter, and you should, but don't take yourself seriously. Yeah. None of us are that special.
Right.
Let's just be honest. Let's set the ego aside and have a good fun, have good fun and have a good time, but put in the discipline, which is why we're having this conversation today.
Honestly, if you didn't poke fun at me every once in a while, I would think you didn't like me anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. You should begin to wonder. That would be a great test.
Let's start with this. I don't know where I heard this, but it's been part of my definition of discipline for many, many years. And it is, definition is doing what others won't do to either be or have what others won't have. So let that settle in.
So I want to double click on that. How do you unpack that a little bit? Let's take that one segment at a time. Right.
So a lot of my references as I was prepping for this, because I think it's more universal, is just in the fitness world. We could do business and family and all that, but I'm going to make a lot of fitness references. So doing what others won't do so that you can be, so not just have, it's not just acquiring things, but so you can be or have what others won't have. Let's start with this. Get up every morning at a particular time and put the time in, put the work in, get a workout in, right? If you do that and someone else is not doing that, you will have, most likely, a better health, a better physique, better longevity, perhaps. That's where I think that comes from.
Another analogy would be, in the sports world, hobby of mine, golf, right? Yeah. Where let's just say a 10 or a 12 handicap, right? Okay. But for me to get to a 6 would require significant discipline, regular routine, work, grinding through all of the skill sets that would require me to reduce that handicap. So being aware of that and putting in the work, the hard work that is not fun. It is not something that you're excited to do, other than the idea of getting to the other side and being a better golfer is what's exciting. But the question is, are you willing to, or do you have the discipline? Are you willing and committed to putting in the work to get there? Most people are not.
Agreed. And whether it's regular health, a particular sport like golf, you can apply to business, right? Like think of someone who is in sales, right? And I have the, I don't remember if I shared with you, I got cold called by a new financial advisor.
Recently?
Yeah.
Oh,
in
wow.
the last couple of months.
You were once there.
Yeah, I was. And so I was driving home. I remember I let him do his thing. And when he was done, I said, I think Sean, let's say his name, Sean, that was pretty good, cold call. Did you know I'm an advisor as well? And he got flustered for a second, and then he came back with, what should I be doing? What should I do different? Tell me how. We talked a bit. He knows now my experience. Like, how can I get to where you are?
Great question.
I thought that was fantastic. And he's called me back twice since then in the last 6 months, just checking in.
That's great.
But that was a bit of a tangent. Putting in the work in his position, new in sales, new in the industry, he's putting in at least 50 calls a day. Mm-hmm. He's going to be that much more successful than someone who just, puts out a shingle and says, I'm a financial advisor, and just sits there.
And I would say everybody is aware of, let's call it what the X and O's are, the basics, the requirements of what I should be doing to get to where I want to be. In other words, 50 calls a day. Yeah. I understand that. 50 calls are going to equate to this many actual connections, which will equate then to this many new customers.
Right.
And that's how I'm going to grow my business. Am I disciplined enough to do it day in and day out?
Yeah.
And work through that grind? Because let's be honest, that's what it is. I would say, with very, very rare exception, use sales and cold calling as an example.
Yeah.
What people actually wake up and they're like pumped to call strangers and get hung up on and rejected.
And I think this is a good segue into the difference between discipline and motivation.
What is the difference?
Right. So I'll answer that with an example, and I'll go back to fitness. There are plenty of mornings where I wake up 4 a.m. I'm not that motivated on that particular day for whatever reason. Maybe not feeling great. Maybe I had an event the night before, didn't get as much sleep for whatever reason. But I'm still going to go. Mm-hmm. So I think the difference is doing something without the motivation in order to reach your goals.
And so can I add, and this is a question, maybe a little bit of a leading question, in those moments where you're begrudgingly going because of how you're feeling, your mindset, your mood, what have you, but you still go. And you still accept the fact that that's not, that when you leave the gym that morning, I didn't produce 100%.
Right.
That wasn't my best effort. That wasn't my best outcome.
Right.
But 50%, 60% at the end of the day is significantly better than not doing anything at all.
Better than zero.
So doing something,
right.
Even if it's a light day, if it's a poor performance day, you got to still commit to the fact that it's incredibly better than doing nothing at all.
100% agreed.
And I think also being at peace with that. Don't you think that a lot of people get frustrated with the fact that they think every day, like January 1's here, it's a new day, it's a new dawn, I'm going to achieve optimal fitness this year. And I go, pardon the language, balls to the walls. And I just grind myself out. And I'm so exhausted. I'm so fatigued. I'm so sore. I'm all those things. And that's not a recipe for success. That's not going to equate to longevity.
No. Although I will challenge that with a respect I do have for, there's people in my life where they try things. I'm going to eat better. I'm not going to say who it is in my life, but I'm going to eat better. I'm going to eat better, and then fail. And then this person always comes back. I'm going to do it again on Monday. I'm going to start again on Monday. I have seen so many Mondays with this person, but she doesn't give up. She just keeps coming back.
Okay.
So I have some respect for that. Now, is this person's results as good as someone who is more consistent? Not even close. Right. But at least there is a will.
Right. So that's a good question too. When it comes to discipline, is everything's an ebb and flow. I have chapters in my life. I have things that are commitments and things of that nature, which we should probably get to because I think that plays in discipline.
Right.
But use just nutritional protocol as an example. If I go 100% hardcore for, I don't know, pick that Monday. I start that Monday and I'm able to do it for 10 days.
Yeah.
And then let's call it a lapse. I fall off. and then I go back to the subsequent Monday and I go for 10 days and I'm 100% again. But then I just completely fall off the wagon, as opposed to the person who's saying, you know what, I can live with 70%. 70% of the time I can live eating a nutritional, healthy, optimal nutritional protocol. But the 30% of the time, and I'm just throwing out numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's better?
Yeah. I don't have an answer, but I will answer your question or your comment with more comments. I have a personal opinion on that. And for me, I try to live at 80 to 90%.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's the right way. I will tell you there was a time in my life where I was probably more closer to 95, 98%.
Right.
And then there's kind of a quality of life, social life. And again, I'm right now talking about fitness,
right,
and other areas of my life.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, obviously the higher percentage, the better.
Yeah.
But I think everybody too needs to know themselves and to find where their balance is, where their comfort zone is. What, at the end of the day, the discipline that I'm following, what has sustainability as well? Very critical part to them adopting whatever their disciplinary protocol is going to be.
Yeah.
The point of it all is it should be sustainable for the long term, not these flashes here and there. That's my take.
And that's the issue that I have, and I'm not saying that I'm correct, but that's the issue I have with, and I'm not going to say these are fads, but paleo, carnivore, again, I'm probably going to get in trouble, like vegetarian. I'm not saying that any one of these are bad, but how sustainable are any of these?
Great question.
And for some people, maybe they are.
Find out what works for you.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
And I think before we actually almost move on, I think there is a sweet spot as to how long you do something before you see a result.
Mm-hmm.
So in fitness and in business, so for the guy that's cold calling, that's his Sean, if he's consistent for 6 months, he's going to have some traction and probably allow him to have a couple of off days.
Mm-hmm.
In fitness, I think you need at least 60 days to see momentum, to have, whatever your goals. Let's say your goal is to lose weight and lose body fat. I think you need that momentum and your body to start utilizing fuel properly. 60 days is probably the sweet spot. Anything prior to that, you're probably starting back to zero or close to, versus, hey, I had a small setback I can pick up, after the weekend.
Yeah, but that's a great point of having, and we were talking about that a little bit before, of long-term goals. What's my ultimate definition of success? Body fat is a good example. And what are some short-term milestones that I would want to hit so that I can continue on that path towards the ultimate vision of success? And body fat's a great example of that.
So I just finished, and I shared it with you. I don't know if you got to it yet. Atomic Habits. I know it's
in my queue.
Yeah, it's great. And really the takeaway is you take a goal and break it into the smallest bites you can possibly think of. And every day you've achieved, a step towards that goal.
Mm-hmm.
My kids have heard a million times is, how do you eat an elephant? Which is a large goal, like undertaking, one bite at a time.
That's right.
And so I think it kind of follows that concept.
Yeah, I have to have short-term recognition for myself so that I can continue on the path.
Yeah. I think what might drive people as well, some more than others, is, what is the why behind it? Why? Like, you might ask me, why is health and fitness so important to me? And for someone else, maybe why is financial success so important to you? What drives that and the why? And I think if one has a strong why, that is a great driver for the willpower that's necessary to have the discipline in order to meet the goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. Another analogy, using golf earlier. Okay, why do you want to be a better golfer? And then the other question of that is, we only have 24 hours in the day.
Yeah.
Where does that prioritize in all the other things that I want to accomplish in life? And something has to give. I can't do it all. And so I have to make pretty important decisions based on what's going on in my life and prioritize what I ultimately want to achieve. Financial success. Well, if I really, really want, how much financial success do you want? If you're going to choose certain elements of that, then there are other side elements of your business. Maybe it is your health that takes a back seat for a period of time. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying you got to make the best decisions for yourself.
Yeah. But I find that interesting. We all know that we all have 24 hours a day. And how many times have you heard someone say, oh, I'm going to use fitness and work out again. Oh, I didn't have time. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to work out. Well, how many hours a day do you have? Same number of hours I have.
That's right.
So if it's important, I'm not saying to this person, whoever it might be, you should work out. I think everyone should have health as a goal, right? For many obvious reasons.
But it should be a pillar in everyone's day, week, month.
Yeah, it's part of our...
Not the most important thing, but one of your foundational pillars, because without health, what does money matter? What is...
Well, as we know, it's part of our true wealth. It's the first pillar.
You don't say. You don't say.
It's funny how that blends in, doesn't it? But I think you make a good point, and if we merge those points, we all have the same number of hours a day. You prioritize what's important, and you make the time.
Well, and what happens is it's a combination of probably rationalization. It's the also decision-making process. Well, if it's simple, right? I can get up at 4 and go work out, or I can choose to sleep and have coffee and sit at the table and scroll my internet. And next thing you know, I've burnt an hour and a half, and you could have put in a good 20-minute sweat.
Right.
That's a heck of a lot better than not doing anything at all.
Right.
So you could have, let's say, ticked the box adequately well. Doesn't need to be an hour and a half, 2 hour long process.
Yeah.
Go bust your hump for 20 minutes and move on with your day.
And you could apply the same thing to golf, right? That's an extra 20 or 30 minutes of hitting balls at a driving range or putting in your backyard. You could use it to business. One could get up half hour earlier and read something with business, prepare for the day, who's going to call, who they're going to meet with. So I think that same system applies to whatever.
100%. And, in sales, you could fumble through 20 sales outbound cold calls pretty easily.
Yeah.
And you may fumble through them initially, but every time you make 20 cold calls or set aside 20 minutes to make, I promise you this, you will get better.
Yeah.
You will become more proficient.
Yeah, right.
Like in golf, like in fitness, you will become stronger.
Yeah.
Your capacity will increase. You will feel better,
Yeah.
But stick to it.
I've learned over the years that one way to help meeting goals, helping with implementing discipline, is effective routines. And some have said that I might be, shall I say, OCD or very committed to particular routines.
I'll leave that alone.
I'm not going to poke at me on that one. But I do think that is one of the recipes for success, and whatever it is that is driving you, whatever goal, business, family. Right. Part of my routine is make sure I schedule a family night. Make sure I have in my I time block. All my workouts are in my schedule. Date nights are in my schedule. Time with my kids, my grown kids. I have the bigs and I have the little, are in the schedule. So it's there. It's a routine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for me, so takeaway there is, if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't happen. For me in my life, just being honest, as much as I really try to be organized, disciplined, there's just a lot going on. Not that it's an excuse, because it's not. My point is, it's not perfect, and that's okay. It doesn't need to be perfect.
Yeah.
But I am committed to and continuing to work on, let's call it optimization, right? Recognizing that you do make mistakes. There are scheduling conflicts. There are things in your day. Sometimes the unforeseen happens. That's okay. Hit the reset button. Wipe that slate clean. Don't let it happen next time.
Yep.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah, I think that falls under, one of the topics I had here is motivation and resilience. That I had that injury last year. Yeah, it knocked me back a couple of weeks, but it's fine.
Oh, I saw you climbing steps.
It's fine. You get back up, and you get after it.
3 months ago, could you climb steps at all?
6 months ago, no. 3 months ago, yes.
Okay. So, you're still not springing up the stairs.
Not springing up the stairs.
But you're doing it, and you're seeing progress. Yeah. Let me ask you, how demoralizing for you personally was that? And what did you, if anything, needed to go through that was like abnormal to say, like, gosh, this is, I can do this. Pep talk yourself.
This was probably the most interesting setback I've had because of mindset. And just for those who don't know, it'll be a year on Thanksgiving where I had a hiking accident that caused a ruptured quadricep tendon. So basically my knee, I had surgery and my leg was in a full straight brace for 3 months. And without exception, everyone that knew me came up, "Oh, I'm so sorry. This might be so hard for you because, we know how active you are." And for whatever reason, I had already in my head, I fast forwarded, this is where I'm going to be in a month. This is where we're going to be in 3 months. This is where we're going to be in 6 months. So I was already living that in my mind.
Future tense.
And then I also realized, look, it's one leg. That is, legs are longer and bigger. So let's say that's 15% of my entire body.
Mm-hmm.
I can still move. I did aerobic stuff with my upper body. I still did other things. I was in the gym 7 days after surgery and haven't stopped. So
where there's a will, there's a way.
And that will, there's a way, and then mindset. Mm-hmm. If this had happened 15, 20 years ago, and I've had small little injuries, yet it was kind of, poor me, woe is me, and, feel sorry for myself. But I was just in a different place this time around.
So much more distinguished, mature, wise.
Happens with the gray beard.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. I think there's a very, very important lesson to learn there, right? We're all human. Accidents happen. Devote yourself to the big picture.
Yeah.
I also will, we joke about OCD and things like that. On the flip side of that, I really can appreciate, and I think anybody can appreciate that in sometimes just the more organized I can be, the less chaos is. And subsequently to that, simple, you can make a good argument that simple is better. That, look, what's most important to me in life? And there's always going to be noise, options to do this, options to do that, request to go here, request to go there, enter into this new business paradigm and this new revenue model. And there's always potential distractions. And for many people, it's very easy to give into those because for many people, new is exciting. Doing the same old thing isn't.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, I really respect the fact that you know who you are, and this is what's most important to me. And I'm very comfortable with the fact that this is where I ultimately, this is the life I live.
Right. Yeah. And I think that really leads into another challenge that we all face is procrastination, right? It kind of blends in there. It's too big of a task. I'll put it off later. It's too much weight to lose. It's too many calls to make. It's whatever you fill in the blanks. One of the things I learned from Atomic Habits was the 2-minute rule, right? What can I do in 2 minutes to get me closer to the end goal? Mm-hmm. Remember, it's the small bite. It's a small bite of the elephant.
You could do anything for 120 seconds.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And the other thing I learned about was called the Eisenhower matrix. I know it's kind of a business oriented, where it's a matrix of 4 boxes. And these are the things, and there's different methods to this, but these are the most important things that I need to do today. These are things that I can delegate.
Oh, yes.
So, And I think that's super helpful. And again, any aspect of whatever your goal might be.
Right. So like urgent, important.
Yeah.
Urgent, not important.
Right.
What's the other one? Not urgent, not important.
Yeah. So that never gets done.
Right. Well, and that's a good life example to walk through, because I think at least for many people, it's like the question is, where do I start? What I always suggest is it's easy to identify the things that you really, really love or enjoy doing, or what you ultimately would love to achieve. And there's also in many cases, it's easier to say, these are all the things that I really don't want to be.
Yeah.
I really don't like doing. Okay, we'll start with all the things you don't like or you don't want.
Yeah.
And through process of elimination, what you're going to start to see is some clarity of what it is you can do, where it is you want to go, what it is you want to achieve.
Right.
And maybe you need a little help. Some people don't really know how to articulate a routine. Where do I start?
Yeah. And I think that plays right into probably our last item on this is accountability and support, right? So there are coaches, there are, in training, you can get a training partner, one who is expecting you to be there at a particular time every day. You could get a training coach that you're paying for, that's going to be there, whether you're going to pay for whether you're there or not. In business, there are business coaches. In business, there are like you. I consider you as one of my business peers and confidants. We share ideas and thoughts. And
of course, a trusted confidant who can call you out on your
baloney.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, what else am I good for if nothing else, right? So to that end, my takeaway is, look, a couple of things. There's plenty of technologies out there that exist in fitness routine protocols that you could just plug right into. You don't even need to think about it. You just need to be committed to doing. There's all kinds of technologies. There's technologies that help you count your macronutrients, and depending on how detailed you want to get, invest in yourself. What that means is invest in a coach, invest in a mentor, find a mentoring network, make an investment. It will cost money. Yes, for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Just commit to that, agree to that, and find out what works best for you. A good friend of mine, she had 2 children in pretty short order, gained a bunch of weight, and was just down in the dumps. And it really affected her overall psyche. And she realized that, and she accepted the fact that I really just don't know much about how many calories and carbs, proteins are in this piece of food. So what am I going to do? Because I really know that I need to fix this. I need to be disciplined. I just maybe don't know how to be disciplined. So I'm going to hire a nutritionist, and that nutritionist is going to track exactly what I eat. I take pictures of the food items, the labels, and okay, that's fine. But that's how you're going to accomplish that goal and stay disciplined to it. So figure out what works for you.
Yeah. There is one more category that I want to talk about.
Okay.
And kind of in closing, and without sounding kind of bizarre, but I think mindfulness and self-reflection is also super helpful in these kind of bigger long-term goals. And I'll give you an example. About 20 years ago, and I've shared this with you before, so it's not new for you. About 20 years ago, I created something called a statement of vision. Not a vision statement of vision. And through that statement of vision, which is 2 pages, which happens to be laminated in my shower, right, so that I can read it every day, I read it as if everything in there is already accomplished. My business has done this and is at this level of success, and how many people that I've helped. I have a vacation home that the whole family uses. My kids are doing well, and so on and so on. And then the last one, without sounding corny, it used to say at my 75th birthday, but as I've gotten older, 20 years later, I've moved it to 90th.
Okay, wow.
So on my 90th birthday, I'm walking along the beach in front of my house, holding my wife's hand, holding Tina's hand. At the end of the walk, we go to the house where my friends and family are there, and we cut. Did I say it was on my 90th birthday?
90th birthday, yeah. Because 75 is way too close.
Way too close. And friends and family are there. We cut the cake, and we enjoy the cake. So you want me to unpack that for you?
Yes.
Okay. 90 years old, walking along the beach. I've got some health. I'm walking along the beach in front of my house. I have some level of financial stability where I have a house that's close to the beach. My wife's holding my hands. She still kind of likes me, right? And my friends and family are waiting for me in the house. I've still got a close knit.
There you go. Love that.
That's my closing.
Amen to you.
Vision. So creating that, you can do that with. That happens to be a strong personal goal of mine, but with fitness, with business, with relationship, with family. Each one of those has a paragraph in my statement of vision. So I'm constantly thinking about that to create it.
I challenge all the listeners to create such a document, a statement of vision for themselves.
Let's do that.
Absolutely.
Consider yourselves challenged.
Done.
So
Are we done?
So I think we're done. And when shall I expect yours?
Good question. Very soon.
January?
Sure. Yeah. 100%.
I wrote mine.
100% guaranteed.
In December. I sat on the beach.
Make it be known right here, right now. I commit that to you and everybody listening.
D2, you got that? She does. Danielle has it.
I would say I'm probably 80% of the way there. I've been working on that with a shift that we have in our business and just significant life changes I've had over the last few years. But I could polish it a little bit. I would ask you, has it refined itself over the, well, you just said it did.
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
You're not walking on the beach at 75.
No,
you're now 90.
Yeah. That's so 20 years ago.
Oh, right. Very good. Thank you for having me.
This was time well spent.
It was.
Thank you so much for your help, for sharing.
Some gems of wisdom, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah.
Start by taking a bite.
Take a bite of that elephant.
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. If you have any questions or want to talk more about it, feel free to reach out. In the meantime, thank you for tuning in. We look forward to being back in the studio next week. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Please subscribe, like, share, leave a comment or review. Be sure to check us out on social media at Optimized Advisor Podcast. Till next time.